Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're doing a special video for the core set 2021 of Magic the Gathering Arena. Today is Thursday, June 25th, so everything is rotated over. We are now at a new mastery level. Uh, and for anyone interested in that, apparently if you had pre-ordered this, you got a bug that gave you an extra 10 levels. So I guess you were supposed to probably get 10 in first place, and so you start at just like 20. Having those extra levels isn't going to do too much at the end of the day because you're probably going to make it all the way to the end anyways. And so it will just be another 10 uncommon cards. Although the uncommon cards that are available now are probably a little bit different. You can also kind of see that in the fact that the packs that are being offered here are mostly core 2021 sets and some Throne of Eldraine and Theros Beyond Death, because pretty much any other expansion is not available in the standard, not playable. We have a whole new mastery image of skins to get. Let's check out the store. There is a code, as there always is. It is play M21, and that gives you 3 packs, one-time code per account, so we can start with that. Our plans are to spend about 25 packs of the new expansion, which is mostly reprints, which is weird because the other cards haven't been that, really. So, like, Core 2019, I don't think that was mostly reprints. And Core 20, I don't think that was mostly reprints. I thought that was what Core was supposed to be, is reprints of old cards to bring them back and say, well, these cards are good enough, we don't need to nerf them, we don't need to do anything with them. See, we can see at the moment they are allowing the Ravnica cards still to be in standard, but I'm fairly certain these are going to disappear fairly quickly, and it will just be these 4 expansions. I need to get a few gems, and the only way I can do that free to play without spending real world money is to win at some drafts. So we're going to have a weird position in which we are both trying to rare draft, not really knowing what the rare cards are, and trying to potentially win to get gems. Here we can see there's some new bundles of sorts. Interesting that these bundles have a character, a planeswalker, in the background, because I don't think that means you get any, like, I don't think that means you get anything. And a lot of these skins, honestly, I think I probably already have, and they're not really worth it. See, avatars, doesn't look like they actually have added any new avatars, which would be silly for them to do that. They frankly need to get rid of the avatar system and just unlock all the avatars for brand new players. I would say sleeves are not ever going to be like that, unfortunately, although it would be nice if Magic got less greedy and said, let's not try and sell sleeves for such a ridiculous amount of price. Yeah, these are nice looking sleeves, but they're too expensive. Pets, I like to see them get rid of the pets too. It would be a lot nicer if they really just focused on giving you actual cards, which this is what I need, is the Historic Anthology Bundle 3. So I kind of don't need to spend too much gold, because this could be ending tomorrow, and I could be in big trouble, because I don't know how I'd get those cards otherwise, other than crafting them with wild cards. And I do have a decent amount of wild cards, but not that many, and these give you like 4 copies of each of these cards too, so it's a very good bundle, relatively speaking. And let's see, so Core 2021, let's go ahead and Jeez, how am I... How do I do this? 2, 3, 4, 5. I guess this is how you do it. 6, 7, 8, 9. How fast can you click? 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Let's start with a little conservative, so we should be at like 23 packs. We're at 24. Wow. I don't like to open 10 elements. A lot of these cards are going to be new to me because I have a very large gap in which the points where I was playing Magic. I played back in the day during Ice Age, and then I started playing Magic when Throne of Eldraine came out. So there's many years in between there of cards that could be reprints that I'm just not really sure about. We are going to quickly start to run out of room, and they're going to have to think of some new system here to fix all of this. And there's like a new pop-up, I think. Yeah. So they now have some text helps to help you search for certain things. A lot of it looks like numerical comparison too, and actual code, almost like a regular expression search. Which, if I was to get really detailed in that, that would be interesting. What else do we have to set up here? Yeah, this all resets in 5 days. And I was right to find that the XP for the weekly rewards reset also. And so we'll try and do some play here. We probably won't get enough gems at the moment to buy the Mastery Pass, but you can buy that at any point. Although, had I pre-ordered it with real world money, that would have sucked because that would have been like $50 minimum, if not $100. But that extra error in your favor is nice. So, our first pack is weird that we start off with a common wild card. We literally have none of these cards. So, why are they giving me a common wild card to start with? Meanwhile, we have what is some kind of land searching spell, Cultivate. I think this might be a very old spell getting reprinted actually. Here we have creature, a creature, a creature, sorcery spell, prowess. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, this creature gets +1/+1 until the end of the turn. Interesting. And we get a spell creature. And the symbols here, I guess maybe that's a mythic rare, but probably not. It's probably just a rare. Like, the colors are a little bit weird. So I think these two are uncommons, these are all commons, and I bet this is a rare. And let's just open the packs and give it only a brief amount of time because we need to do a deck rebuild. We need to see these new cards and see if they can be integrated. In the previous expansion, I really have never got around to really rebuilding most of the monocolor decks, which you kind of need to have because all the daily quests require you to play monocolor type cards usually, if they are that kind of daily quest. But that is not really where Magic is. You should probably play 2 or 3 colors, and there's a real problem with the daily quests not recognizing that and fixing it. It would have been nice in this new expansion, in this update, if they threw out some better daily quests. Things that let you play, well, 2 or 3 or 4 colors instead of 2 colors. This one is you draw the number of cards as far as shrines you have, so shrines might be a thing. Again, I think that's a rare. And you get an uncommon wild. We're starting weirdly. I have no idea what I'd use the wilds for, other than to just kind of get one of everything. I have like 18 common wilds, 30 uncommon wilds. The core set probably is the right set to do that with, I would imagine. Yeah, since these are the cards that are probably going to be the most helpful to synergize with the next 3 expansions as well as the previous 3 expansions. There is also, here we have a rare wild card. There is also some new system that they're going to announce, and they've just teased it, that might let you take your older cards and in some way convert them into the standard legal versions. Ideally, this would be done by simply allowing you to have effectively a skin on your old versions of cards that just have the new logo, since those cards that have been reprinted have the same stats and the same text. The art might be a little bit different. But the idea in the digital game that they're going to get you to buy more and more packs and ignore the fact that non-standard cards are close to completely unplayable except for in friendly games and maybe historic games. It is not realistic. Hearthstone, in comparison, very, very good about never really making any of your cards obsolete for the first couple years, and then they got fairly bad at it by putting a lot of things in the wild. I had hoped Hearthstone would have never adopted that as a policy, particularly since Hearthstone could at any point just change the text on cards and nerf them in any way they saw fit to. Again, I'm guessing the orange is mythic rare, so this might be a mythic rare. It'd be nice compared to Hearthstone again. Opening packs here is kind of sucky. You don't get any kind of feedback. No real feeding into the gambling mentality, which is effectively what you're doing here. You should have something that says awesome. It should say uncommon, rare, mythic rare. At least say mythic rare. I think these packs are probably designed the same way regular Magic booster packs are. I think these are booster packs where you're pretty much guaranteed to get 5 commons and 2 uncommons and one rare or mythic rare. But there still should be some bit of joyousness, some sound effects, some feedback when you do get a mythic rare, because they do seem to be fairly uncommon. Now this expansion is supposed to be interesting. This is called Temple of Mystery, but it's not labeled as a shrine. It's supposed to be 300 reprints or 300 cards in general, so it seems a little weird that we were able to open a pack there and basically have new cards at all. I think this guy is actually a very good card if you can build a deck around him. There's also some bundled packs called Jumpstart that they're doing that are, I think, designed to get people into playing Standard again. Although I've heard people online say that Standard has been in terrible shape and has been for a while, so maybe this could be the beginning of fixing that. Maybe not. Although in the current economic situation, it's going to be really, really hard to justify a hobby like Magic the Gathering, since it's such an expensive hobby. It is really, really expensive. Yeah, here's a card I know I have 4 copies of. And so it's rather disappointing to get a 5th copy of this card that just has a different symbol on the logo. It says M21 instead of M20, with the art looking exactly the same and nothing being different at all. So I would very much have preferred that my old versions of these cards just turn into the new version of these cards so that I would be playable. I don't know if you're actually playing Paper Magic, if people would really hold that against you or not. I would ideally think you were playing with your friends and they would not hold you to a ridiculous rule to say, well, this is the Core 20 version of a card that was reprinted in Core 21, therefore it's legal, or therefore it's not legal. Like, I would not want to play with people that were going to be that terrible. But see, that is also kind of the problem with the game shops and this whole concept, is that you're going to a game shop and playing Magic is effectively the equivalent of going to your crack dealer and expecting him to treat you kindly. He might treat you somewhat nicely, but at the end of the day, the game shops are in cahoots with Magic and Wizards of the Coast to get as much money out of you as they can. And I've never seen Wizards of the Coast even be slightly reticent to do that. They seem to love to gouge people, and they seem to love to pander to whales, and that kind of sucks. Now would be a perfect time for Magic and Wizards of the Coast to drastically reduce the prices of all their cards, just by pushing towards digital, which the macOS version of this is now, I believe, available today, of Magic Arena. But by also pushing digital, that should allow them to have a great excuse to reduce the cost of these pieces of cardboard. There's really no excuse needed. The cost of these pieces of cardboard are way higher than they should be. And I think I would, if I was going to play a paper card game, I would definitely go with a deck building game where I just spent $60 to $100 to get all the cards in a certain expansion, and that was that. Instead of introducing the random chance elements and the pack cracking microtransaction stuff. It's probably a little surprising that, since enough video game players in general probably at some point has seen somebody play Magic or played Magic themselves, it's a little surprising that so many people didn't immediately recoil when they started putting microtransactions into PC games and computer games and video games, because it's obvious it's the same thing, and it's obvious nobody liked it then, so why would you like it now? But I guess people got led around by the nose by having games add repetitive, boring grinding, and then they created a problem to sell a solution to you in a lot of games, and people were more than willing to pay to win and not waste their time grinding. Yep. This game, Magic Arena, is not as free to play as I would like it to be. There is still stuff that can and does happen that makes it a bit of a hassle. So, if we look at all the new cards, here we've got 1 page of 6 for the white cards, and we got 4 copies of this one. And then we had, let's see, a page and a half more of white cards, and then half a page plus a full page of blue cards. We got 3 of these. Now the question to ask here, is my overlay software working? Because odds are it wouldn't. The odds are low it won't work. So if I go and try and do a rare draft, and I try to hope that it tells me what cards I don't have, I probably won't be able to find that out easily. But yeah, we do definitely have a decent number of cards. Not enough to make me feel like I could make a full deck just around these new cards. And oddly, only like 5 of the uncolored cards and only 1 of the lands. So if we were to look at this and say, what did we not collect in comparison? There's a decent amount. I'd say we got about 50-50 as far as the cards that happened. No, actually I'd say even a little less than that. But then if we were to say, if I want the common cards that are not collected, that would be 12, 24, 36, 48, and 50. Do I have 50 commons? No, I have 25 commons. If I wanted the uncommon cards that weren't collected, we have 8, well no, 12, 24, 36, 48, 48, 51. So yeah, I couldn't get all the uncommon cards either. We are going fairly cheap at the moment because I want to play more drafts than anything else. And there is this beauty in this system in particular, because since I am going to play drafts, I don't have to think about doing a deck rebuild right now, when it would be particularly inopportune, since we really didn't look at what any of the cards said or did. Although, in all fairness, a lot of these cards, I think if I get even a half look at this, a lot of these cards are just reprints of cards that were even in Throne of Eldraine. So I do recognize what they are, and then if we were to look at the mythic rare cards, there's some planeswalkers, 12, 18, 19. I could actually make each one of these, but I don't know if that's the right move to do. Otherwise, if we were to look, see at what was not collected at all in the previous expansions of the past 4, in total, there's not a lot that I didn't get, and so I could probably use more wild cards to get those. And see, I don't even know if I need to. Yeah, let's look at that again without core set 20. Yeah, it probably is a lot smarter to think about using the wild cards to craft these cards than to craft the core set. Alright, is there anything else we learned from this? Not at the moment, just that we got cards, and that's it. So we have play black or red spells, attack with 30 creatures, play blue or green spells, and then we have here, let's see, a Premier Draft Core Set 2021, which, let's see, select one card at a time from a rotating draft packs. Cards will be added to your collection. You use them plus basic lands to build a 40 deck. Play the games to receive prizes based on how many games you win. So I could spend 10,000 here, and it probably wouldn't pay itself back even if I got 6 wins. And odds are probably low that I would win on the Premier Draft. the sealed core, or we have a sealed core, which is 2,000 gems. So I wouldn't want to do that because you'd have to definitely win 7 wins at that point. So that's definitely out. I think quick draft is probably your best bet. But the quick draft is Jalaxian. So, So either I play Jalaxian to get Jalaxian cards, which are not standard, or I spend 10,000 gold to get the cards that would matter. At some point, I might want the Jalaxian cards. And if we were to, let's see if there's just a quick draft being hidden somewhere for a core set 2021. These advertisements, by the way, also kind of bad in the fact that they showed up like the day before the event happened. Let's see, quick draft Jalaxian, Premier Draft Core. Yeah, it seems like we're gonna have to do the Premier Draft. Also, Brawling is now available always, so they're not making you pay extra to do that. So that's a nice expansion of the element. Right. My overlay software is open, so we'll hope that this works. And let's do this. We're mostly rare drafting. This looks like this might be new also. It seems like they're giving you a friend code number system. I don't know if that was always the case. Like, it took them forever to put any kind of friend system in the game at all. And yeah, we'll just go ahead and we're just gonna try and rare draft as best as we can. And there's no daily quest like in Hearthstone to actually play with friends, so there's no motivation to really do that, and you don't get anything for it. That was one of the nicest things about Hearthstone, was that you occasionally would get play a game with a friend, and both people would get either a large amount of gold or a free pack. I don't remember which one. I think it was a large amount of gold. It would be nice if there was a daily quest that popped up every now and then that would give you a free pack. There is, even in their own idea of, oh, my software is working. Even in Magic's own desires to sell more money, it makes sense to every now and then give each player a taste of the pack opening experience in the hopes that they get addicted to it. First taste is free type idea, or if you haven't seen them in a while, give them another taste to get them addicted to it. And it's funny, there's a game I'm not going to bother to mention because it's kind of an adult Korean game. Well, it's called Destiny Child. I'll throw out the name there. And I've been loving it. I've been playing it for like 2 years. And it is super expensive if you want it to be super expensive. You could easily spend $400 or $500 every month or so buying everything. But you don't have to do that. I've been 100% free to play on it, and it works fine. There's no problem with playing that way. There was, in the early game of me playing, some difficulty learning all the systems and the best way to farm and play. But you can earn premium crystals very easily, and you can get all of the characters eventually, with the exception of like 9 collaboration characters that I don't think anybody's very happy that those collab characters are in the game, because now they can't give the collab characters to people without the people that spent the big money during the collaboration to get those characters. And they can't do anything new with the collab characters because there's no way to get them. But my point in this is, I kind of seen the light. I've seen a free-to-play game, a cell phone game, which inherently Magic Arena should be on the cell phones, and it still isn't, but I imagine it will eventually figure out a way to squeeze all of its massive playfield onto its cell phone. There's ways. I definitely have some thoughts that I could do it if I was the one in charge. But since I've seen the light of a game that does it really, really well, it's kind of no surprise that I don't fully appreciate Magic Arena's attempt, which is often not very fast when they add new features or elements, and it doesn't feel like it's very player focused or player friendly. There is definitely an argument to be made at this point that like you want a core basic land, that would be a terrible card to end up with, because you don't even need the basic lands. That is ridiculous that these booster packs have basic lands in them. They shouldn't have that at all. Let's see. We're gonna mostly play a white deck here, and I just need to be somewhat careful about what we're gonna do. Just as far as what cards actually get played and what cards don't. See, this is a card that we already have a version of, so I don't know why I would really want a reprint of it. But I guess I'm just gonna get anything I don't have a copy of, so we can have at least one of everything, so we can play it just in case. That is something compared to Hearthstone that we have not really run into so much. I guess I am ending up with a swamp. Well, I'm definitely taking that. Oh, I forgot what I was talking about. Yeah, because there was never really any reprints in Hearthstone, it was very, very nice to not have to deal with any of that. It's also very nice in Hearthstone if you've never played it, and I'm not recommending anybody actually play it. My recommendation still stands that people should probably just not play anything. If you have to play anything, play Magic Arena until the game company Second Dinner releases their Marvel card game that they're contracted to make. Ben Brode is the person in charge of Second Dinner, and he was the person in charge of Hearthstone before Activision Blizzard got significantly worse than it already was, in my opinion. But it definitely was nice to not have to ever open a pack and get just absolutely useless garbage. It was also nice to be able to dust any cards that you had extra of and use that dust to craft any tier of card. It would just cost more dust effectively to craft a epic card compared to a common card. You also didn't have basic lands, and instead just every turn you got one more mana that you could use, and that was perfectly fine. I think that is a nice solution to a problem that Magic has never been able to really address. Magic could address it fairly easy. They just need to make a gameplay mode, an alternate gameplay mode of Standard, where you have a side deck, a secondary side deck that would just be lands, either basic lands or other kinds of lands, and there's like 15 cards there, and every turn you turn one of those cards over and put it on the field. It's really would be that simple. And then you would eliminate a lot of issues that pop up with Magic, where if you're just mana screwed, and you don't have enough mana to play any of the cards in your hand, you're just gonna lose, almost certainly. And you're losing turns effectively every time you draw a land and you already have enough lands, and you're losing turns effectively every time you don't draw enough lands and you need the lands. So it just slows down the game. It makes your decks way bigger than they really need to be. That's probably why people prefer Brawl and the gameplay styles that have fewer cards in general. It's just because of the cost, the lack of poor game experience that you often get when playing just a standard game. It is way too easy to have a bad game experience playing Magic. And see, here's the problem with my software, is that I've got this timer of 21 seconds, and sometimes the software just doesn't pop up, so I have like 15 seconds now, and it's not telling me whether I have this card or not, so I'll just have to risk it and hope I do have it. Let's see. I guess. I don't know if I really would play a 5 mana card. Yeah, I'm just rare drafting. That's all I'm doing. And my deck is fairly badly designed. And see, what I really should do is I should decide to do enough drafts every expansion so that I play every color. That way I know I have all the colors, a relatively decent blend of all the colors that are out there. But I think I mostly do play black, or I have been playing black. It would be nice to get away from my Out for Blood deck and play something different, though, because it is fairly repetitive, and it would be nice to play some different cards and keep things a little bit more varied. I'm hoping I don't have a bunch of those. Probably don't have a bunch of anything, so probably fine. I now have 23 cards in my sideboard, which really is going to make an argument more about, hey, let's think about putting in a second color in here and do a black-white deck instead of a all single white deck. And see, I'm mostly just getting uncommon cards, so more variety might be a little bit more preferable than getting a bunch of uncommons. Although maybe not. Like, I still have yet to really get an idea around where I really end up after one of these expansions, after the 3 months or so that it seems these expansions last. I'm gonna take that because it looks pretty. Yeah. This is also a very slow process still. And this system actually now overlays that. Interesting. I guess that's helpful. I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna see. There are some ratings around these cards too. So some of that information might be more useful than it seems. If my software would be able to pull up the stats fast enough, which it really doesn't. I guess maybe the trick, if you are going to use the overlay software and use that advantage of perfect memory and perfect statistics, the thing you probably would want to do is ensure that you have you take as long every single turn to give it as much time as possible to think. This is interesting too, because we just drafted a skinned version of the cards, which I didn't realize that happened. So apparently you don't actually need to buy the skins or earn the skins in the mastery level at all. It seems like you can just get different skinned versions of cards in at least booster packs, if not in other places, in at least draft packs, if not booster packs also. See, those lands are the gain 1 life lands, so they're not as ideally useful, I think, as they might seem. But yeah, take them anyways. Okay, so I am 8 cards short. So let's just filter in the blacks and add them to this. And then we'll go back to white and see if there's anything we want there. No. So now we need to think about whatever we want to get rid of. Draw 2 cards, each opponent discards 2 cards, each player loses 2 lives. Turn from a graveyard to your battlefield. Probably not. Maybe. Three for a 3/4 is not bad. Discard 2 cards. Interesting. So this one just buffs up a creature. This is a heavy discard deck. I don't know if this is really going to work. Do I want to get rid of one of these? I think that's a pretty basic card. And let's see. Do I want to get rid of Arise again? Yeah, okay. There's a lot of stuff here. Would there have been a better offering if I had played a different color? No, it doesn't look like it. And so then you do that premier draft, but then you don't play against that group of people in the draft. So that's kind of weird. I don't think that's the way it works in Paper Magic. I don't think you sit around the table, open a bunch of draft packs, do your draft, and then randomly have people shuffle tables and play against each other. Maybe there's a bit of a rotation and tournament mode that happens after the first couple of games, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's no movement along that lines. This is going to be weird, because I'm going to need to get fairly lucky. I have a lot of black cards and no black mana. Okay. I could put this on the field and then tap it like a sorcery, which I don't think I'd be able to do. Let's start with this one, I think. So we decide which one we want to get rid of, and destroy is see. It's gonna be hard to win though, because this guy's already got a flying creature and guess we'll just have to play. Put this on the field. I mean, I can do some hand destruction, and that's fine, but it doesn't really work here. See, now we have just one creature that he can play a 1/3. No, I don't need to discard a card to make that indestructible. Unlike my usual streams, which this is going to try to be a shorter stream, even though we are going to probably go fairly long. I'm not going to bother to cover any video game news or anything. This is just all about trying to actually pay attention to the cards. We'll talk about video game news on Friday and whatever new games came out on Steam. I probably lost here. Let's see. Soul counter on it. How many cards does he have in his graveyard? 4? So now have a 4-2. But this face race is not going to work well for me. My card says you have 28, so the idea of milling him is more of a idea of just saving, just kind of frustrating the player, I would say, more than anything. Yeah, I'm gonna be particularly close to death. I've got no good blockers. Yep, I've lost, so we might as well just move forward and lose. If we get 3 losses, we get 3 losses in a row. That is the possibility, and that is the danger. Although I still feel like you are in a good place, and we needed this. Ideally, this would go up our constructed or draft ranking, but then that also is going to be set in 6 days. So at least in 6 days, I have to have at least 5,000 more gold. So I really can't go too much further down the well as far as spending money. Spending the free-to-play gold. Here we've got a new background. I would like to see these backgrounds though cycle and change more often. I also would like to see them actually have their software work, because for the past several weeks it has been kind of a nightmare scenario where more times than not Magic Arena would just not load up. It would just go to a black screen and stay on a black screen whenever you tried to launch it. I've reinstalled it 2 or 3 times in the past month, and it only slightly helped. So I did notice that the redistributable of Microsoft C++ was included, and it wanted me to restart my computer, and I said, yeah, I'm not going to do that, and it still worked perfectly fine. Using C++ and not some overlying technology like Unity is a little weird, and it's very possible that they do use Unity. You're gonna make me discard 2 cards. Okay. Says whenever this attacks, you may tap any number of untapped creatures you control. Then it gets +1/+1 until the end of the turn for each creature tapped. Interesting. So weak cards synergize with Siege Striker in a way that is actually fairly useful. But it may not solve as much as I would like it to solve. What is the flash mechanic? You may cast this with flash anytime you could cast an instant. Oh. That's what flash does. Okay, good to know. After I discarded the card. Let's see. See if we can do this. Red protection, and then let's see, attack, and then we'll tap these two, which will leave me vulnerable, so maybe we should just tap one. Tap them both. But we're experimenting here. Odd that it let that through, because it could have kind of easily blocked that. And even though he would have had protection. Oh, I guess the double strike would have killed it. I forgot about that part. So yeah, this has double strike. If we can continue to get this to attack a couple more times, we might be able to win. On the other hand, you may again just wreck me. Yeah, I don't fully understand drafts at all, because I don't fully understand the expansions. Today is day 1 on the Core 2021 set, and sure, if I was spending all of my time looking up the previews and following famous Magic people, Day 9 and Tolarian Community College and things like that, I kind of follow those, but I don't. I tune out, honestly. I tune out in half of their videos and most of their videos. So I probably could have had a stronger understanding of a lot of these cards, and that stronger understanding probably could have ended up improving the cards I decided to pick in the draft and the deck I decided to build. But what I'm always looking for and really never getting is, I would like to play a game that's much more like the crazy parts of Yu-Gi-Oh!, where there are 5 card combinations that just win the whole game for you. And I know there's some of that, but I don't know if there's enough of that. Let's see. Indestructible. Next. Attack. And I feel like Magic in particular is just a slow game. It's just too slow of a game and needs to be more modernized, even more than it already has been in some form factors. Let's see. Could give it indestructible again, I guess, if necessary. So if you were going to make this work on a cell phone, what you would do is you would put basically a drawer and hide all of the lands so that it just collapses into like a small bar of pixels here. That way you can zoom in the screen a lot more just to focus on the creatures on the playfield. You would do the same with the planeswalkers. You would move the deck in the discard deck so that just the top logo shows, and so you would just cut off the image and just have it fall off the screen. There are things in Magic Arena, regardless of where you're playing, I'd like to see more automated and better understood. Sometimes the way the cards actually play it just feels different or wrong compared to the ways the cards have played before. I've noticed that many times with Bolas Citadel. But a de-emphasis on the character. You could get rid of the character and save yourself some space, for sure. Man, do I just have too much land? Is that the problem? Yeah, that is the question, is what is the problem? This guy's indestructible. Well, I have no idea how to destroy this guy then. If he's just indestructible always and cards that target him kill him. This seems like a very overpowered card. So yeah, we might be just doomed to 3 quick losses and then that'll be the end of it. It is sadly typical that this is the experience that I've had now for two expansions of Magic Arena. Seems to be relatively little hype around it. It doesn't seem like there's much of a celebration going on, and even giving your best efforts, you're just going to end up opening a bunch of packs and playing a few games and then realizing that you don't know how to play any of the cards, and then you're going to have to spend the next 3 months trying to figure out what cards are actually useful, which I never even actually accomplished in the past. And getting 50 gems does not get me anywhere close enough to getting the 3,000 gems I want. Ideally, I need to get 3 wins, and it doesn't seem like we're going to get a win streak unless we just get some quick disconnects. And Magic Arena is not that good or nice about the quick disconnects. Hearthstone was kind of decent about it. There was a kind of benefit to it, to just getting quick victories and increasing the win ratio. The win ratio in these games are always way too low compared to playing a solo experience in any other game, where you might have a single player game where you never die, or you die 3 or 4 times in 20 hours, whereas the win ratio in a card game is often just pathetically low at 50%, and that's what they're targeting, is a 50% win ratio. And quick disconnects, having fake bots that are just programmed to connect to you and then concede the game, is really helpful. Unfortunately, Magic implements a timer mechanic, and you lose if you're not playing, instead of potentially it being a free and easy victory. In Hearthstone, you could literally just stop playing a game and it would pretty much never disconnect you. It would never time out on you, or the timeout on it was so incredibly long that effectively it didn't do anything. Let's see. So that's a bit of a hand destruction we did. I probably would want to play this right when I was about to lose, just in case I could convince him to waste his own life. Okay. We can attack with this and this again. I don't think that matters one way or the other. Let's see. I didn't think of that. Did not play that correctly. Yeah, we can definitely tell there's no synergy in this deck. And I don't know if there was cards that were better. We might be finding out. It is very possible, since Core 2021 is mostly reprints, we might very well find out that there actually isn't much of a strategy to play just the core cards, and I will have to mix in the older cards, which that's fine. It's just a little bit different than what we've been doing before. Boy, am I excited to start playing that Marvel card game from day one, though. Like, because that definitely was a problem both with Hearthstone and Magic Arena, is that I didn't start playing either one of those games until a year or two into their release, or at least they were in beta for a year, and players who were there on day one definitely had a large advantage, in which they were just able to have more cards and have more knowledge, and there was just never a catching up that happened. I would say both card games, though, still suffer from some really sucky times when you're playing. You can definitely get into a slump and just lose over and over and over again. And see, my usual deck, I would be just buying time by playing creatures until I got Bolas Citadel, and then several cards would synergize to make me win because of that. And here we have a dog creature, and I don't know if we have a new background area to play with. Not sure I particularly care about a new background area either. Let's see. Can I block this and then activate this? Yeah, and there's kind of no reason to even play a land. This guy's not going to run out of cards or anything like that. Yeah, you can also feel there's not a lot to say. This is why normally I'm talking about video game news and distracting myself at least 50% when playing these card games, and it's the only reason I even play the card games is because I want to be a informed video game critic that knows which I want to activate this and discard this, and I guess I shouldn't have done that. And check here, I guess. I hate these pets. Did they ever add an audio option to turn the pets down? Nope. But I do have the voices down. I find their constant noise making annoying. And see, if I had like a board wipe right now, that would be great, but I don't. So I can choose to attack with this, and I can choose to attack with this, and I can choose to attack with this, I guess. And we'll just see what happens if he wants to block. So I'm 4 short. Meanwhile, he's got 9 damage he can do to me. And this doesn't untap if I discard this card. See, and this really, if I was going to play real world Magic, is probably what I would end up doing. Is just losing 3 times in a row very quickly, and I probably would only be there to rare draft in the first place. So I got 50 gems in 1 pack. That's pretty pathetic return. The minimum you could get for 10,000 gold, which was a lot of gold, certainly. And you're not going to get rewarded from that poor performance. They're not going to give you a mythic wild, almost certainly. I doubt there's any kind of logic to any of that. So, we got some more cards. Good for us. Alright. So, with the rare draft, we can see we got more copies of things. And we did get that unique style of card, which is interesting because you can, I guess, now play either one. Although if I was going to craft more of them, I don't know if the skins cost more. Got 4 copies of that card. And so you'll want to be very careful in the drafting to not end up getting a 5th or more copy of something. This looks like an interesting creature. Might be interesting for a commander deck. So we kind of have a decent start, but nowhere near as good of a start as I think I would have liked to have seen. Let's see. If we were going to go here and see what have we not collected. There's quite a lot here. And I don't think it would be wise to use any of the wild cards at the moment, because we need to figure out what the system is. Whatever the system is that takes Fabled Passage, for instance. Let's just look at this. We'll just search particularly for Fabled Passage. Okay. So, collected and non-collected, neither one selected. So you have core 21 versions of Fabled Passage, and then here you have what I think is, what would that symbol be? Throne of Eldraine versions of it. So until they explain how these cards are going to shift to these cards, since it's the exact same art and the only thing different is the logo, it would be silly to use 4 common wild cards. Now there are cards definitely in the now non-standard versions that look different or just weren't reprinted in Core 2021. So you would probably still keep those, I would assume. But until they explain how they're going to treat the customers right and fix this issue. And just for a logical sense issue too. Like, as they continue to try to add old expansions, which they are going to add an old expansion and continue to work backwards to old expansions, and move forward to add new expansions, there's going to just be a ridiculous amount of the exact same card. And it's just not going to make sense. And it would definitely make a lot more sense to just have this be a different skin instead of a different card completely, because there's no style of Magic you can play where you'd have 4 copies of this and 4 copies of that would be cheating in most people's minds. So let's look at the decks. I have a test deck for each expansion. Now these default decks also are going to get changed, fairly certain. Let's see if they have changed yet. Yeah, see, a lot of these cards that were handed to you by default when you first played the game, these default decks are Core 20, so they are probably going to get redone and changed, and they probably will be automatically changed into your sets. Also, I have not played any of these default decks in probably half a year, although I am still playing a modified version of Out for Blood, and there are some modified versions of the other decks, which also goes to show that I just never really learned how to build my own deck. Alright, so we have a blue-white deck here. Let's see what we were doing with the blue-white deck. I think what we were doing is probably playing towards a companion, which companions have immediately become useless, so having a companion doesn't make sense. Because they're just too expensive now. Alright. So, do we want to make a new blue test deck and leave this one alone, or do we want to start from scratch? Let's just make a new deck. Well, how does one make a new deck? We will call this standard format, and I guess we'll name it later. And what we want to do is look at the core 2021 cards and see what we've got. Counter target, sorcery, Spell, unless the controller pays 3 mana. Scry, draw a card. Until the end of your turn, target gets +0/+2, and another target creature gets -2, -0. That is an interesting card. I don't really see a reason why you would need to play Defender or Wall of Ruins, unless we're getting back to scrying. Let's see, Frantic Inventory. So you could, if you had 4 copies of this, you would increasingly draw cards. That's an interesting idea, but I only have 1 copy. And see, this is 1 mana to make them pay 3, where this one is 1 mana unless you have a flying creature, and then it's 4 mana, and it costs 2 mana to cast that spell. That's probably not a bad thing. I feel like a blue deck is probably heavily a denial style deck. Counter and counter, although I'm not really sure what the full strategy of countering is, other than to maybe try to have a mill deck, and mill decks never work. Flying prowess. This is apparently like a pacifism type card. Let's see. How many shrines though would I have? Because I could have like 1 of those on the field at a time. And that's about it. Draw a card, discard a card. This really does feel like a mill deck. And just a 4 mana 2/5 is a little too simplistic. That. Let's see. That. 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 Is there any combo blue card I'd want to play? Probably not to start with. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may search your library or graveyard for a shrine card and put it onto the battlefield. If you search your library, shuffle it if the ability. This is like a 5-color card though. If an ability of another shrine you control triggers, while you control 6 or more shrines, that ability triggers an additional time. That is crazy. Let's search shrines. So the only other shrine card we could do that we have is this. So I guess we could kind of sideboard that. Probably better to sideboard that one too. See, that's only 46 cards with 24 islands. So the question I guess to see is what cards are missing that are blue that would change this up. it does seem like there's just a lot of draw cards. But it always feels like the idea of just milling yourself is probably not the only thing that you should be doing. It really probably is not. There needs to be something you're trying to get, some other answer to a problem. Some multiple synergies would also not hurt. So now if we include the 3 other expansions that are in standard, and we look at what we've actually collected, let's see. Draw. Let's see. Sacrifice this to draw 3 cards, but that's way expensive to do. Whenever you draw a second card, you can attach this, scry 1, and draw. It's probably a fine card. Wishing Well as an artifact, probably not worth it. Players have no maximum size. Draw a card and discard a card. Whenever you draw a second card, you get +1/+1. Here you have an exile cards, that means you can play them from the graveyard a second time. Let's see, Keep Safe might be a better counter. Let's see. Still just trying to look. The Kraken probably is not a bad idea. That's probably not a bad idea. I don't know if we're doing any companions or mutates in this build, though. And we're not going to really test out these decks because that is where it would take another hour, and I don't really see a reason to do that. Cycling and drawing when you do combat damage for all your creatures. But where is the card that I'm thinking of? Interesting. I'm looking for a Planeswalker. The Planeswalker, so let's search here. Because this deck really fails without that Planeswalker. Oh. So this deck may really fail. Because I bet that Planeswalker is a core. Where is it? Is it the War of the Spark card? Yeah. Jace, Wielder of Mysteries. Without that on the field, the draw deck kind of falls apart. So, yeah. If we are trying to make a deck with just the cards that will be in standard, I'm going to have to find something. Something that would have you win the game if you're milled. And I don't know if there is anything like that. So then you have this deck that lets you draw cards, and that's about it. Draw cards to tap. We have a 6 mana spell. Let's go ahead and put that in the sideboard. See, this is like the only strategy here. And see, if you were playing a commander, then this being your commander, maybe a deck like this would make sense. But since you're not playing a commander, how do you drag this to the sideboard? I guess you just don't. So a 5/3/3 is not a good card. Can't be blocked at all if you've drawn 2 more cards. Yeah, this whole strategy falls apart. Let's see. I don't think this Planeswalker adds anything to the concept. I don't think this works. That doesn't kind of synergize with what we're trying to do. Three mana at a counter. It's probably not worth it. So there's clearly some other color that would synergize with this, and this is the problem: is you can't make a mono blue deck. Really, you need a blue black deck or something where you find some black card that says deal 1 damage every time you draw a second card, or something along that line. Yeah, this is kind of ridiculous. We'll keep one of those. And we'll keep one of those. And then we'll keep one of those. Yeah, this deck sucks. That's pretty much. Oddly, you don't have like a good indication that it is renamable also. So there's our blue test. Terrible. Just absolute garbage. The white test, on the other hand, I think what we'll do is we'll probably get rid of this, and then we will look at the core 2021 white cards and see what we can add, and then we'll look at what we have and what needs to change. Considering, well, there's actually quite a lot here, and there's like 80 cards in this deck already. That's crazy. Let's just start by getting rid of all the black cards. Like, there was some strategy that I was trying, but it didn't go anywhere, obviously, and it doesn't solve the issue that I'm trying to have which is to have cards that will be white cards when I have a daily quest to play white cards. So making a white-black deck makes a lot of sense if you want to actually win, and makes no sense if you just want to get the daily quest and be done with your life. And not spend 30 hours every single day trying to play Magic Arena. There really is a problem with the lack of cooling off period that also exists in this. That you can sort of take the weekends off, and that's about it. But that's about all you can do. Ideally, they would want you to play every single day for 15 victories, which would take quite a lot of time. I have like a blue card in there somewhere. This is probably the blue card. Okay, so now white core set 2021. What's new? Lifelink gets plus 3. See, +1, +0 until the end of the turn and draw a card. That's not a bad idea. Tap target creature. This ability costs 1 less to activate each shrine for each shrine you control. But that's extremely expensive. Here we have a 1/3. Here we have a vigilance creature, which I don't know if you get too many vigilance creatures in a white deck. See. You could use this to exile your own creature and create a 4/4 angel if you were desperate. I suppose that's a relatively cheap way to do that. +1/+1 and protection. If you gain 3 more life, create a Griffin token. That's a good card, because I imagine this deck is this would prevent damage to all other dogs. So if you could get a full dog deck, you've got something there. Indestructible. Destroy tapped creature for 2. Let's see. I don't know if I want that Planeswalker. It might not be a bad idea to have this Planeswalker though, so you know what we'll do is we'll again try to get them into the sideboard and think about it. +2/+2 first strike and has Knight in addition to other things for 3 mana. It's probably not a bad card. We'll try that one. Let's see. If a source would deal damage to you, prevent that damage and put an incarnation counter on 9 lives. When there are 9 or more incarnation counters on 9 lives, exile it. When 9 lives enters the leaves the battlefield, you lose the game. That's a crazy card. It's a crazy card for like a desperation play. I'm gonna put that in the field. Attacking creatures you control get +1/+0 for a 3 mana defender. I'm not sure if that's... This is extra life for flying creatures. Gains flying till the end of the turn. Alright, well, that was relatively pain-free. I think simply because we ran into a situation where once I had taken out the cards that were black cards, we had plenty of room. So the white test deck is now different. Most of that deck, I think, is still probably designed around the idea of gaining life. That's not really what I was expecting as far as how that would work. I thought I'd end up adding more cards and then having to remove some cards, not removing cards first. So green deck, gain 4 life. If a creature died this turn, gain 8 life instead. That seems like that's doable. Sacrifice a creature with Defender, that's no good. Target gets +1 and +1 in hexproof. That's probably not worth it. Sacrifice a creature with Flying. And that is a cheap way to destroy something with Flying, I guess. So we'll try one of those. This one can attack if you have a creature with 4 or more power. Whenever you draw a second card each turn, create a 2/2 green cat. Until the end of the turn, creatures you control have a base power and toughness of XX, where X is the number of cards in your hand. That might be something worth playing with. And this is an interesting art image that catches my eye. I'm not sure how well that will play these days with the controversies that pop up around Magic the Gathering and everyone else. So I wouldn't be surprised if the art gets changed. This one would get +2/+2 when it blocks something with Flying. This is an instance for +4/+4. Let's see. Search your things for 2 basic cards. Yeah, I think Cultivate as a fetch card is not a terrible idea. See. Still just trying to figure out what the right cards are, what the wrong cards are. If a creature died this turn, put a 1/1 counter on this and untap it. Let's see. Here we have a trample for 6. Might be worth it. X +1/+1 counters. Whenever one or more +1/+1 counters are put on another non-Hydra creature you control, put a 1/1 counter on this. That might work in a specialized deck, but probably not. So then that leaves us at like 75, and then we just need to figure out what we would like to get rid of and what we would like to keep. Let's start on this side. We have 3 Death Touch creatures. Whenever a creature mutates, put a 1/1 counter on that creature and gain 2 life. This is mostly a mutate deck. Growth Cycle. Do you think maybe we should get rid of that? Maybe. Add any mana of any color. Yeah, let's get rid of that. Let's see. 2 mana to destroy a target enchantment or exile a target from the graveyard. We probably only need like 1 of those. +4/+4 until the end of the turn. Probably only need 1 Cultivate. Can't be blocked by more than one creature. That's probably not that useful. This is 3 mana to search for a basic land. We don't need that. Let's see. Let's get down to like one of those. Yeah, I think we're still just mostly playing Ikora cards and mutate cards. I think that's pretty much where this is gonna boil down to. We'll get rid of 1 copy of that. And so we just need like 1 more card. So we'll get rid of that. So moderate changes to the green test deck. Moderate changes, but not a lot. And let's see. Then we have our red test deck. This is fairly boring. I have to admit, it is fairly boring. I just don't have it in me to be super hyped about these cards in this new expansion, because it really is just kind of nothing. Get rid of the companions because they changed the rules on how the companions worked and basically pulled the rug out from under anybody that was going to play companions. But I think they kind of needed to do that. So most of our red deck is just an aggro spell direct damage deck. Deal 1 damage when it dies. Double the power of a target creature until the end of the turn. Interesting. When it attacks other creatures you control, get +1/+1. That's interesting. Some more buffs. Let's see what else we've got. Unless you have 4 more artifacts that can't attack, so I don't think that would do it. See, this does 5 damage, but it also causes something to lose indestructible, so I assume it loses indestructible first and then takes 5 damage. Otherwise, what would be the point of doing the 5 damage? Instant sorcery cards in your graveyards. That'll be a good card to play. That seems like a card that does quite a lot for 4 mana. Let's take this because that was a nightmare when I tried to play it. Let's play that. Gotta put 4 copies of that in the field. Probably not keep that. Like 1 flying creature probably isn't a bad idea. This costs X less, where X is the total power of the creatures you control. 6 damage to up to 2 creatures and or planeswalkers. Or I could play this and do a massive amount of damage. Let's see. This card would probably lead you to playing a dog deck if you wanted to play a red-white deck. Alright, so then that's 15 cards that need to be removed. And Dwarven Mine probably should be removed in the first place. This card I don't think ever really worked. This card works fine. There's a lot of cycling cards here, isn't it? Man, I built a cycling deck, didn't I? Thought this was a direct damage deck. Well, oops. So we'll have two kinds of cards here, I think, that basically puts us in a situation where we'll have to decide what cards we want to keep and what cards we don't. We'll just have to experiment with them. See, we need to get rid of just one more card, and then yeah, that's about as far as I want to go with it. Just to put these new cards in a deck to test later. So we did red, green, white, and blue, and so the only one that should be left is our black deck, and I guess what we'll want to do in that case is just make a black test deck, because I don't want to ruin my current strategies on the Out for Blood version 1.1, which is the only deck that I've been able to play so far that actually seems like it has a chance of actually winning, and it has gotten me up to platinum tier. I'm very surprised about that. Actually, it is fairly weird that that a new player makes it all the way to platinum tier in less than half a year. See, if it entered from your graveyard or cast it from your graveyard, exile it. If you do, create a 5/5 black demon instead. Discard cards. Let's see. Draw cards. We have Flying Imps. This has a soul counter. That may really be the only card I even care about, so I may just end up putting this one card in my Out for Blood deck and just testing it, because it says pay 3 life if you win a coin flip. You get 6 life. This could do damage. Screen creates a sapling, a 1/1 sapling that doesn't do anything really. That's not that good of a card. This would work with my Out for Blood deck. This would work with my Out for Blood deck. So X is the greatest power among the creatures in your graveyard. It's probably not worth playing this. This is probably not worth playing for that deck. We could try one of those. That one's too expensive. Draw 2 cards, each opponent discards 2 cards, then each player loses 2 life. That one's too expensive either. So we're gonna look for a Sanguine Indulgence, Vitro Thorn of Dusk Rose, Silver's Moat Ghoul, and Malefic Scythe. Yeah. And we're gonna just add it to my current deck and we'll try it out. Which you can kind of see I don't have a lot of cards in that deck. It's a fairly simplistic deck, and that probably is the right way to build decks, to keep it simple and sweet and short and sweet, not confuse the issue by having a whole bunch of variety and a whole bunch of options. Okay, so Taste of Death and Bolas Citadel. I could have a fourth Bolas Citadel. I don't think I even need 3 of them, actually. Vindictive Vampire, you want 4 of those? This would be cheap. This would be cheap. This would be cheap. Whenever you gain life, that one is good. If you gain 3 or more life this turn before your end step, return it from a graveyard tapped. And then you could sacrifice it to draw a card. That is actually a very nice card, so let's put a bunch of those into the deck. 1 murder. Let's see. Afterlife. I don't think we need that one. And we could probably get rid of one of those. And we could probably get rid of one of those. And then... But we want cheaper characters, so we don't want to get rid of those. Actually, we want to keep them. We want to get rid of the more expensive ones. And I'm not sure I have enough land. Probably could do with something along the lines of getting rid of one spinning wheel and instead... Nope, you don't want to do that, do you? Okay. I think that's about all I'm gonna do. Yeah. So that's my black deck that I actually play. So we did white, blue, black, red, and green. And there is no uncolored deck. You really couldn't make a deck with just uncolored cards. Not really, I don't think. Yeah, there's just not really enough of them. We didn't really consider any of these cards, nor did we really look at any of these cards for better or for worse. This probably wouldn't have been a bad card to add to this deck also. So, do that. So, yeah. Save and exit. That's pretty much it. Like, as a free-to-player, as somebody who doesn't want to give money to Magic the Gathering and Wizards of the Coast in the amounts and currently in the economic situation, that's about as much as you can do. Open about 20 packs, play 1 draft, do some rare drafting to get some more cards. We got a decent amount of cards as our first start. As we're playing down the mastery level, we will get these packs guaranteed, and by the time this ends in about a month, if I haven't spent in about 3 months, if I don't have enough gems to get the mastery pack and unlock all this other stuff, that would kind of suck, but it really wouldn't be even too big of an issue. If anything, the core 2021 set is probably the one set you would ideally want to skip if you were going to skip one of the mastery sets, because these packs for Throne of Eldraine and Theros Beyond Death are probably packs of cards that you already have, because you probably have a lot of those cards. Anyways, that's going to be it for this special stream. I end all my streams the same way. I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to further follow me on any social media sites, there's a bunch of links down below. I would ask especially to ask your friends to subscribe to my channel. Still trying to get up to 1,000 subscribers. It doesn't matter if they watch or not. And if you really wanted to support me further, there's a link down below to Patreon, which it would be nice to have some supporters there. Or you could just friend me on Steam and gift me a game for a one-time show of support, or gift me a gift card if you don't want to choose. That's it for this stream. Thanks for watching. Have a good evening.